Well, good evening. All right. Using a different computer, and wow, like it's significantly different when I use the camera on this one. All right. I can see it's still a little choppy, but not quite as bad. Well, again, from St. Evagrios the Solitary on prayer. And let me try to remember precisely. I'm pretty sure it was. Wait. This is the wrong page. This is definitely the wrong page. Uh-oh. Did I completely mark the wrong page? Oh, no. There we go. Okay, we did that one. Okay, well, no. I'll just start at line 89. Okay, so, uh, the, I don't know what that is. uh, all right, so here we go. You should wish for your affairs to turn out, not as you think best, but according to God's will. Then you will be undisturbed and thankful in your prayer. Even if you think you are with God, be on your guard against the demon of unchastity, for he is very wily and jealous. He tries to outwit the activity and watchfulness of your intellect, and to draw it away from God, and it stands before him with reverence and fear. If you cultivate prayer, be ready for the attacks of demons, and endure them resolutely, for they will come at you like wild beasts and maltreat your body. Prepare yourself like an experienced fighter, and even if you see a sudden apparition, do not be shaken. You should see a sword drawn against you or a torch thrust in your face, and do not be alarmed. Should you see even some loathsome and bloody figure, do not panic, but stand fast, boldly affirming your faith, and you will be more resolute in confronting your enemies. He who bears distress patiently will attain joy, and he who endures the repulsive will know delight. Take care that the crafty demons do not deceive you with some vision. Be on your guard. Turn to prayer and ask God to show you if the intellection comes from him, and if it does not, to dispel the illusion at once. Do not be afraid, for if you pray fervently to God, the demons retreat, lashed by his unseen power. You should be aware of this trick. At times, the demons split you into two groups. When you call for help against one group, the other will come in the guise of angels and drive away the first, so that you are deceived into believing that they are truly angels. Cultivate great humility and courage, and you will escape the power of the demons. No plague shall come near your dwelling, for he shall give his angels charge over you. Psalm 91. And they will invisibly repel all the energy of the enemy. He who practices pure prayer will hear the demons crashing and banging, shouting and cursing, yet he will not be overwhelmed or go out of his mind, but he will say to God, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Psalm 23, and other words of this kind. At the time of such trials, use a brief but intense prayer. If the demons suddenly threaten to appear out of the air, do make you panic and to take possession of your intellect. Do not be frightened, and pay no attention to their threats, for they are trying to terrify you, to see if you take notice of them or scorn them utterly. When you stand in prayer before God the Almighty, who created all things, takes thought for all. Why are you so foolish as to forget the fear of God and to be scared of mosquitoes and cockroaches? Have you not heard it said, you shall fear the Lord your God, Deuteronomy 6, or again, fear and dread shall fall upon them, Exodus 15. Pardon. The body, and holiness is food for the soul. Spiritual prayer is food for the intellect. When you are in the inner template, pray not as the Pharisee, but as the publican, so that you too are set free by the Lord. Luke 18. Try not to pray against anyone in your prayer, so that you do not destroy what you are building and make your prayer loathsome. Learn from the man who owed the 10,000 talents that if you do not forgive your debtor, you yourself will not be forgiven. For it is said he delivered him to the tormentors. Matthew 18. Detach yourself from concern for the body when you pray. Do not let the sting of a flea or a fly, the bite of a louse or a mosquito, deprive you of the fruits of your prayer. We have heard that the evil one attacked a certain saint so fiercely as he prayed that the saint lifted up his hands. The evil one changed himself into a lion, and raising his front legs, fixed his claws into the saint's thighs, and he kept them there until the saint lowered his hands, which was only when he had come to the end of his usual prayers. There is too the case of that great monk John the Small, who lived the hesychastic life in a pit, and his communion with God was not interrupted, even when a demon in the form of a serpent wound itself round him, chewed his flesh, and spat it out into his face. You have surely read the lives of the monks of Tabensis, and Abba Theodore was preaching to the brethren. 2 vipers crawled under his feet, but he calmly made an arch of his feet and let them stay there until he had finished his sermon. Then he showed the vipers to the brethren and told them what had happened. We read how, when another spiritual brother was praying, a viper came and wound itself round his leg. But he did not lower his hands until he had finished all his usual prayers, and because he loved God more than himself, he was not harmed at all. Do not let your eyes be distracted during prayer, but detach yourself from concern with body and soul, and give all your attention to the intellect. Another saint, living the hesychastic life in the desert, was attacked as he was praying by demons who for 2 weeks tossed him like a ball in the air, catching him in his rush mat. They were completely unsuccessful in distracting his mind from fiery prayer. When another monk was practicing inner prayer, as he journeyed into the desert, 2 angels came and walked on either side of him, but he paid no heed to them, for he did not wish to lose what was better. He remembered the words of the apostle, "Neither angels nor principalities nor powers shall be able to separate us from the love of Christ." Romans 8. The monk becomes equal to the angels through prayer because of his longing to behold the face of the Father who is in heaven. Matthew 18. Never try to see a form or shape during prayer. Do not long to have a sensory image of angels or powers or Christ, for this would be madness. It would be to take a wolf as your shepherd and to worship your enemies, the demons. Self-esteem is the start of illusions in the intellect. Under its impulse, the intellect attempts to enclose the deity in shapes and forms. I shall say again what I have said elsewhere: blessed is the intellect that is completely free from forms during prayer. Blessed is the intellect that, undistracted in its prayer, acquires an ever greater longing for God. Blessed is the intellect that during prayer is free from materiality and stripped of all possessions. Blessed is the intellect that has acquired complete freedom from sensations during prayer. Blessed is the monk who regards every man as God after God. Blessed is the monk who looks with great joy on everyone's salvation and progress as if they were his own. Blessed is the monk who regards himself as the offscouring of all things. 1 Corinthians. A monk is one who is separated from all and united with all. A monk is one who regards himself as linked with every man, through always seeing himself in each. The man who always dedicates his first thoughts to God as perfect prayer. If you want to pray as a monk, shun all lies and take no oath. Otherwise you vainly pretend the flesh, and no cloud will darken you during prayer. Entrust to God the needs of your body, and it will be clear that you entrust to Him the needs of your spirit also. If you receive what has been promised, you will reign over all things. Keeping these promises in mind, you will gladly endure your present poverty, spiritual and material. Do not shun poverty and affliction, the fuel that gives wings to prayer. Let the virtues of the body lead you, those of the soul, and the virtues of the soul to those of the spirit, and these, in turn, to immaterial and principal knowledge. If you are praying to overcome some thought, and it subsides easily, examine carefully how this has come about. Otherwise, you may be deluded into attributing the cause to yourself. There are times when the demons suggest thoughts to you and then urge you to rebut them with prayer, whereupon they withdraw of their own accord so as to deceive you into imagining that you have begun to overcome such thoughts and to rout the demons. If you pray to overcome a passion or a demon who is troubling you, remember the words, "I will pursue my enemies and overtake them. And I will not turn back until they are consumed. I will dash them into pieces, and they will not be able to stand. They shall fall under my feet." Psalm 18. Say this when needed, and so arm yourself with humility against your enemies. Do not think that you have acquired holiness unless you have reached the point of shedding your blood to attain it. For according to the apostle, we must battle unremittingly against sin, even if it means death. Ephesians 6 and Hebrews 12. If you do good to one person, you may be wronged by another, so feel injured and say or do something stupid, thus dissipating by your bad action what you have gained by your good action. This is just what the demons want, so always be attentive. Be ready for the attacks of the demons, and think how to avoid becoming their slave. At night, the cunning demons try to disturb the spiritual teacher by direct attack. In the daytime, they attack him through other people, besieging him with slander, distraction, and danger. Do not try to avoid the fullers. Let them beat, trample, stretch, and smooth in your arguments, and your garments will be all the brighter. So long as you have not renounced the passions, and your intellect is still opposed to holiness and truth, you will not find the fragrance of incense in your breast. Do you have a longing for prayer? Then leave the things of this world and leave your life in heaven, not just theoretically, but in angelic action and godlike knowledge. If it is only in times of adversity that you remember the Judge and how awe-inspiring and impartial he is, you have not yet learned to serve the Lord with fear and rejoice in him with trembling. Psalms 2. For even in a state of spiritual peace and blessedness, you should still worship him with reverence and awe. Until a man is completely changed by repentance, he will be wise always to remember his sins with sorrow and to recall the eternal fire which they justly deserve. If a man still enmeshed in sin and anger dares shamelessly to reach out for knowledge of divine things, or even to embark on immaterial prayer, he deserves the rebuke given by the apostle, for it is dangerous for him to pray with head bare and uncovered. Such a soul, he says, ought to have a veil on her head because of the angels who are present, 1 Corinthians 11, and to be clothed in due reverence and humility. Just as persistent staring at the sun in its noonday brilliance will not cure a man suffering from ophthalmia, so the counterfeit practice of fear and supernal prayer, which is properly to be performed in spirit and in truth, will no way benefit an intellect that is passionate and impure. On the contrary, such practice will provoke the wrath of God against the intellect. If he who is in want of nothing and shows no favors did not receive the man coming with a gift to the altar until he was reconciled with his neighbor who had something against him. Oh, pardon me. Oh my. Matthew 5. Consider how much we must be on guard, God. Do not delight in words or in glory, Otherwise, the demons will no longer work behind your back, but openly before your face, and they will laugh you to scorn during prayer, drawing you away and enticing you into strange thoughts. If you seek prayer attentively, you will find it, for nothing is more essential to prayer than attentiveness. So do all you can to acquire it. As sight is superior to all the other senses, so prayer is more divine than all the other virtues. The value of prayer lies not in mere quantity, but in its quality. This is shown by the contrast of the two men who went up into the temple. Luke 18. When you pray, do not use vain repetitions. Matthew 6. So long as you give attention to the beauty of the body, and your intellect delights in the outside of the tabernacle, you have not perceived the realm of prayer, and are still far from treading its blessed path. If, when praying, no other joy can attract you, truly you have found prayer. Saint Evagrios the Solitary, on prayer, from first volume of the Philokalia. Sorry, I'm kind of melting in here. It is very, very, very hot for Oregon right now, so I'm it's kind of kicking my butt. So, just wanted to make sure to tell you, see you all tomorrow, God willing, Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and take care of yourself and the people around you.